Welcome, Rick and Ryan. How's audio, video, connection? Testing, testing. Hello? All right, thank you, Rick. Hello, Randy. Hello, Julie. Hello, Karuna. Hello, Abby, Isla, and Ivy May. Hello, John and Audrey. Oh, also Visaka. Okay. And my mom. Hello, Jayantha. Hello, Yankee. Welcome. Hello, Gregory. I see we have some questions already. Hope everybody's doing well. Had a good weekend. I finished up the Paticca Samuppada retreat this weekend, and I'm still recovering and still quite tired. Hopefully, we can have a nice, energetic Dhammapalooza. All right. Let's share screen. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Atiko tena bhagavata janata passata arahata samma sambuddhena panchatannani. Panchatanani sammadakatani yang abhinhang pachavikittabani ityava purisena va gahatena va pabhajitena va katamani pancha jara damomi jaranganati toti abhinhang pachavikittabang Vyadi Dhammomi Vyadinganati Toti Abhinhang Pachavekittabang Marana Dhammomi Marananganati Toti Abhinhang Pachavekittabang Sabbehi me piyehi manapehi nanabhavo vinnabhavoti Abhinhang Pachavekittabang Kamma Sakomi Kamma Dayado, Kamma Yoni, Kamma Bandhu, Kamma Patisarano, Yang Kammang Karisami, Kalyanang Va Papakang Va Tassadaya Do Bhavissamiti, Abhinang Pachavekittabang. English? Dhamma is to be reflected upon always. 5 things have been well taught by the Sublime One who knows and sees, the Worthy One, the perfectly enlightened by himself. These are 5 subjects always to be reflected upon by a woman or a man. Householders are those who have gone forth. What are the 5? I am of the nature to decay. I have not gone beyond decay, as always to be reflected upon. I am of the nature to be diseased. I have not gone beyond disease, as always to be reflected upon. I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond death, is always to be reflected upon. All that is mine, dear and delightful, will change and vanish, is always to be reflected upon. I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of my karma, related to my karma, abide supported by my karma. Whatever karma I shall do, whether good or evil, of that I shall be the heir, is always to be reflected upon. All right, friends. It is Monday night. That means it is time for another Dhammapalooza, the festival of Dhamma with the Maggasekha community, where we come together each week to do a variety of Dhamma-related activities. We did some chanting. Maybe we'll do some meditation. I don't know. I might end this early. We'll have to see how it goes, how much energy can be maintained. And in between, who knows? Each Dhammapalooza is different. It could be lots of questions. It could be no questions and just sutta reading. It could be Dhamma discussion, Dhamma talks. That's all up to you. And those of you who are here live in this community coming together. So, as usual, I will give some time in the chat. I know some people have already put questions, but if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, you can put it in the chat. If you have any topics you'd like me to give a Dhamma talk on, you can put those in the chat. If you have any topics you'd like the community to discuss, you can put those in the chat. And as always, you are welcome to get to know each other in the chat, say hello, talk to each other, support each other, give each other links, all that kind of stuff. I always encourage that. I see that. I'm always keeping an eye on the chat, even if I'm talking, somebody's giving somebody a reference or something like that. So that's always very good. So, all right. If you have anything, put it in the chat now. And I'll start with the questions already. Jayantha says, last Sunday, empty cloud, somebody put your name, asked Bhante Siddhasa to give a blessing to you, Bhante. We know who that was. It was Karuna, because Karuna said it last Dhammapalooza that she was going to do that after I was being mean and basically saying it doesn't do anything. You know what? Not so much, not directly like that, but yeah. So it was Karuna who did it out of her wonderful Karuna and Metta. I feel better from the allergies, yes. From the nutrition, no. I'm still very low energy. But that's going to change soon, at least until I go and stay the month at Empty Cloud. Then it's going to happen again. But it is what it is. Let's see. So I'm going to go back for the questions. Rick says, can you talk about how the space around us impacts our practice? For me, being in an open space like an A-frame or a house or a temple is a great support for meditation, faith, and metta. So this is interesting because I'm glad you gave specifics, because this question could have easily been answered in a kind of like environment kind of a way, like be careful of who you have around you, not being around fools, etc., etc., etc. But this is actually a bit more of an interesting question, because it's almost like literally talking about like the, what do they call, like the feng shui or the aesthetics of the space that you inhabit. And this is a very interesting discussion. One of the things that people mention, and I see this in myself, is that I remember somebody saying it something like this, and this is not from Buddhists. Maybe this was from my work years and years ago. I don't remember, but it was something to the effect of the amount of clutter in the space the person lives in is the amount of clutter in their mind. There's basically equating their living space with their mind. And I find some really strong truth to that. Like one of the things that I like to do is keep everything orderly. I like to be, every time I take off my robe, I fold it a certain way and I hang, I like to do that kind of stuff because it's good discipline, it's good training in a lot of different ways. But also I like orderliness. But like when I get sick, like when I was, like all last week when I was pretty wrecked, just stuff was just, I just throw my robe on the ground or whatever, and just everything just falls apart. And then once I feel better, the first thing I do is I just clean and organize it all again. Because I find that it's a support for my mind to have a nice, clean, orderly, spacious living space. I actually like the way that the like you see like zendos, or even in some Thai forest places where everything is just an empty space. And then when it's time for the monks to sit, you set out the mats, and then once it's done, it all comes back up and it's an empty space. That's gonna what I want my monastery to be. I like that kind of lots of space, the spaciousness. I think that's a very, very, very good thing, conducive to practice. So, I mean, but I think that it really will vary depending on the person. I don't think that's necessarily something for everybody per se, but for me at least, um, I do find that having spacious and orderliness is very beneficial for my practice. Karuna, you say C, but I don't know what you said C to. So I don't know what you were responding to. Um, but yeah, I guess that's all I have to say necessarily about that. That's all that comes up. I think each practitioner who kind of knows themselves and knows what works should do that, should kind of set their environment up, that the kind of feng shui aesthetics of their environment up in a way that will be conducive for their practice. No doubt. Not just sitting practice either, like conducive for the Noble Eightfold Path. I didn't say I felt better after having receiving a blessing. Where'd you hear that? I was feeling pretty rough even up until like this past Thursday, Friday. That's like 4 days after last Sunday. All right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will never reject somebody having good wishes for me. Never. Even a Christian person says "bless you," I was like, "Thank you." Right? Like there's. I will never, ever, ever, ever reject people doing good things in my name or for me, having good wishes for me. That is never something I will ever do. I just don't. I don't necessarily attribute any kind of magical forces behind it. Like Bante G always said, even about metta, metta is not magic. I mean, I've seen some really magical, interesting things regarding metta, but I still agree with him. you have to be you have to be careful about these things so that you're not kind of fooling yourself. All right. So Karuna has a good question. Although it's funny, I think Karuna, you've asked this kind of question in a different way recently. So this is obviously something that has been on your mind for a while. It's like the same thing with Rick. Rick's questions tend to revolve around a theme over shorter periods of time. Yeah. Can we just discuss backsliding in your practice? In my practice, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a master of backsliding, but I'm an adept at it. Like coming back from a bad week and getting back on track without feeling bad. So, what I would say is this. I know you've been practicing for quite a while. If you get away from your practice, does your mind, or at least a part of your mind, eventually start going like, let's get back. Let's start meditating again. Let's do it. Come on, let's go. Is that part of your practice yet? Because that's what happens with me. After doing it for a bunch of years, even if I didn't meditate for a week, there is kind of a voice that would be like, let's get back. Let's go. It's like I needed to take I don't know, like a little vacation or something. And then my mind was calling me back. I think the worst thing to do is to feed the judgment that may arise because you slacked off for a week, right? And by I say specifically feed the judgments because yeah, judgment will probably arise, especially if you're a very kind of conscientious kind of a person who has that kind of strong self-criticism. That's going to arise. But you don't have to use it as a cudgel to beat yourself over the head with it. You just, oh, okay, yeah, this arises. And I don't want to make too many excuses, but it's just me going off. I fell off the wagon. Time to get back on. Time to just go back to the practice. My mind is more like, just go do the least before the practice police get here. I think some people would like if there was a practice police. I really do feel like some people want like the monk to go around with the stick because they'd be like, I'm too weak. I can't do it myself. I need the monk with the stick to come whack me. But no, but the Buddha says that you have to be an island unto yourself, that he can only show the way, right? So you have to find it deep within yourself, the ways, the zeal, the desire, the energy to keep going. Right? That's something that you have to build in yourself and develop it and understand how to develop it so that when it starts to fade away, you do things to build it. But backsliding is something, it's all backsliding is part of the path, right? The Buddha just says to monks, do not become masters in backsliding. Doesn't mean you're not going to backslide. Just means, there's a lot of other better things to gain mastery over. Don't become a master in backsliding, right? Don't become a master in falling, stopping, complaining. We know these kind of people in school and in life and things like that. We don't want to become a master in backsliding. But the feeling bad, right? How to get back on track without feeling bad. The feeling bad in itself can be a hindrance. You have to make sure that it's not a hindrance. You have to make sure that, you know what, okay, this feeling bad has arisen in my mind, whatever. I'm going to practice. The most important thing, or one of the most important things about somebody following the Noble Eightfold Path is this: not that you do it perfect, but that you're sincere. Honestly, I don't know how I get away with as much as I do, and how people think I'm as good a practitioner as they think I am. I think it's just because I'm sincere, right? And not only just with people, I mean with myself. Like, it's like I don't expect perfection, and I know I'm going to screw up, and I also know that uh, with all my heart that I want to do this practice, and I love this practice, and I want to follow the Noble Eightfold Path all the way to the end. If you have that sincerity within you, you'll be okay. Just keep practicing. You'd be amazed at how the world kind of forgives you if you have enough humility and sincerity. Um, as Greg was saying, I need all the help from the devas and yakas and nagas I can get. Yeah, well, I think the devas understand sincerity too. I'm sure they're really like, oh God, this monk, oh God, but he's really sincere. He'll get there one day. It is what it is. All right. Isla has become terrified of fire, the alarm, everything. Could this fear be from a past life? Was there something in this life that happened? Isla's, what was it, three, four, five? I mean, it's quite young. I don't think Isla is the point yet where they fully understand the actual danger of fire. But they also take cues from parents and things like that. And I don't know about it from a past life. I would have to rule out a lot of things from this life first before I would say, maybe from a past life. 3. Well, I mean, interestingly enough, 3 is about the time that in all of those studies, 3 is about the time that the children are in the heyday of kind of remembering their past lives. You know, so I suppose it's possible. Do you read like the children that remember past lives, the Professor Ian Stevenson research? 3 is around the time. That's around the time where they're like, hey, you're not my mom. I don't live here. I live there. Who knows? It could be. It's possible. Julia asks, Bhante, are you going to Empty Cloud at the same time as Bhante Sumita? I hope so. I quite like Bhante Sumita. I've been able to. I spent, I think, a week or two in total with him at Empty Cloud over the past couple of years, and also we did a bhikkhuni ordination with Aya Tataloka in California. I think that was it last year or 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago. So that was the last time I was in person with him in California when we were part of the monk crew that was the monk side of the bhikkhuni ordinations. So I would love it if Bhante Sumita was there with me. Also, that means that he's the senior monk, so that means I don't have to do as much. Because at Empty Cloud, doing all of my streams and then 3 or 4, either streams and then the Saturday and Sunday, like if I am by myself in May at Empty Cloud, it's going to be an exhausting month. So much Dhamma teaching. But so if Bhante Sumita is there, all the better. I hope so. I don't think that's in 12 Rules for Life, Karuna. It might be, but I'm not going to bring that up because I know there are some people who I feel quite wrongly have strong feelings about that. So I'm not going to start talking about the person that was mentioned. Um, but I think he does talk about that as well. But I think that's very ancient common knowledge. It's just you don't need a therapist to tell you that. Um, all right. I'm just scrolling through the chat here. Okay. Julie has a question. How to handle in a wholesome way gifts from family members who owe other family members for their dwelling. How to keep my karma clean. I rather say no thank you because it's not gifts for requisites. I think I might need some clarification on this question. So, gifts from family member who owes other family member for their dwelling. What? How do you keep your karma clean? Well, do good deeds. I don't know where I'm trying to. I think I might need a bit more clarification as to why you feel like your karma would be affected by the actions of others. Jantha says, Bhante Sarasa says Bhante Sumita will be coming in Empty Cloud during the month of May. Yay! So it won't be just me by myself. Very good. That's what I like to hear. Hello, Hidden from India. Uh, hmm. One family member wants to treat me to a restaurant and they need to pay for their home that they borrowed money for. It feels wrong to accept and I feel stuck. You know, them giving you an offer, yeah, you're not their accountant, right? You're not really the I mean, well, I guess what I would say is bring up your concerns with the person. Just say like I don't know if I feel right. I know you have such and such responsibilities and things like that. And just, I would find a skillful way to bring it up with them, especially if you do continuously kind of shy away from it. It's good for them to kind of at least understand that you have concerns that they're doing it. Oh, well, I mean, this gets into the whole realm of um, hurting people's feelings and embarrassment and all that kind of stuff. Um, but if they keep asking and you keep saying no, they're probably wondering. It might be better for them to just understand where you're coming from. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, family members, letting other family members borrow money and stuff like that, almost never does anything good come out of that. there's the that's always that's tends to end up being not such a good thing. But it's understandable, of course. Like like if my sisters were ever needing money, I would give it to them. I mean, well, when I was a layperson anyway. Never happened, but I would do it obviously if I needed to. But yeah. Rob, hello Rob. It's been a while since I saw you on one of the streams. I think I remember the name. Am I still nomadic? Yes. How does it impact your practice? For better or worse? Both. I'm asking because routine helps me and it helps me a lot too. Let me tell you, this, how shall I put it? My nomad years, in terms of long term wisdom, have been one of the most productive periods of my life. In terms of short term, like basic things like all the things I want to write, all the poly I want to learn, all that stuff, my productivity in that part of what I'm trying to do is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Um, just for the fact that sometimes it takes me a little bit to settle in and get into a routine, and then I'm going to another place and to settle in and get into a routine, and I'm going to another place. So, in terms of overall Dhamma, it's been for the better, I think. In terms of all the other stuff that I'd like to achieve and accomplish, it's been for the worse. So, it's I am a homebody. I thrive with routine. I just do. Um, and I don't want to do this nomad thing forever. Um, in my 5-year plan, which I'm in my third year, my 5-year plan was within 5 years to be settled in Colorado. And I knew that was a bit ambitious. Um, will I be living in Colorado in 2 years? I mean, it's possible. Uh, we'll see if it works out that way. But I do want to be settling down. I'm not getting any younger. My life is not getting any longer. So I'm looking forward to being able to settle down. But I also know that I will always look back fondly in this period, at my stupidity and my and me trying to do the best I can in this situation. I try to have at least a basic bare bones schedule that kind of works no matter where I go. And I mean the success rate on it is mixed, but yeah. You want me to live in Canada, huh? I don't know. I'll visit Canada, but I don't know if I want to live there. I'll even spend maybe months in Canada, but living there, I don't know about that. Let's see. Going through the chat. Rick has another question. Karuna says, I have the attention span of a squirrel. If I weren't in a poly class, I'd learn like 3 words a year. Well, I think I'm doing better than 3 words a year, but I'm not doing that much better in my nomad years. That's for sure. Um, I do feel behind some of my compatriots in terms of my poly. Good night, Visaka. So Rick says, what are different ways people approach asking questions and practice? I ask questions and read about issues related to my current growing edges. Then I put the suggestions into action, mindfully noting the results. I keep focused on these themes until the practice bears fruit. Yeah, I think that's pretty much how my path has gone as well. And I think that's really the way to go because, you've heard me say many times, I do feel that as you develop the path and as you kind of master your practice, you'll know that you'll have an intuition and you'll see that your mind is inclining towards, I need to learn this, I need to learn that. Like, for me, how it works is like, for instance, I just did this weekend retreat, Paticca Samuppada retreat. This is the first. I mean, I've been leading retreats now. I've been teaching in retreats now for 9 years almost. 9, something like that. But this is the first retreat that I've done, especially because they don't really do Paticca Samuppada retreats at Bhavana. But this is the first time I've ever done a Paticca Samuppada retreat. And it's part of my arc now as somebody who is also somebody who shares Dhamma, is that to help me codify the wisdom and the insight that I've gained, I now have to kind of put it together in a retreat and then teach it. And that also helps me to kind of refine and hone my wisdom and understanding. So, the last 3-4 years, I've come quite far, I think, in my Paticca Samuppada insights. And this retreat was like the capstone of that, at least for this period, right? And so, maybe nothing comes to mind right now, but maybe now my mind needs to incline towards some other aspect of the path that I need to, study and practice and contemplate and develop. So I like that word, how you say the growth edges. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it, I think. If you're brand new, though, I mean, you don't even see edges because there's like so much, um, and so then you just have to. I think also there's a little bit of an intuition there as well. It's kind of just like learning, and even if you start reading the suttas, and like I remember in the early days when I was reading suttas, the only thing that there was, this was even before most of Bhikkhu Bodhi's translations existed. I think only one of them did when I first started reading suttas, one of the four Nikayas, maybe two. um, and I'd be on like Access to Insight, and I had no framework of how the sutras were placed in books and all. I This was before all of my understanding of all of that. And there was on Access to Insight, there was like a random sutta button. Now I think like Reading Faithfully and different websites have this random sutta kind of a thing, and I just click on it and I read the sutta, and I have no idea what was being said, and it didn't really call to me. And I say, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna put it aside. Random sutta, and then another sutta. Like some of the best suttas that I still love to this day, I found from random sutta. Random sutta. Oh, this is amazing. I gotta copy this link, whatever. Make sure that I can get back to the sutta so that I can, have it. Um, there is an art, there is a skill in learning how to read and to ride the waves of the development of your practice. Jonathan says, Bante, is there any life in frozen embryos? Um, so as far as I know, embryos are frozen before conception. So I would probably be inclined to say no. Right? Because even like I remember I was in the IVF process, and years ago. I actually was involved in that because when before my wife was starting her cancer treatments, and we wanted to make sure maybe we could have save something to have a kid, stuff like that. So I know a little bit about the process. I mean, this is also 20 years ago now, so who knows what the process is now these days. But I'm pretty sure like the sperm and the embryos and stuff like that are saved separately, not like put together and then frozen. So I would say there's probably no life in an embryo, or or an egg anyway, I should say. Um, I think yeah, the egg, yeah, because I think embryo is post conception. That word is used, so I might be confused. I don't know. Clarify this for me, anybody who might know. Um, yeah, thank you, Gregory. Yeah, 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 yeah. So sperm, it's the eggs that are frozen. I don't think embryos are frozen. Yeah. All right. So we've reached the end of the chat and questions. We still have the root of all things, but that's a big sutta. So I don't. I'm gonna say I'm saving root of all things for a time when nobody has any questions, and we can go through that. Majjhima Nikaya number 1. We could play Sutta Roulette for a bit. Maybe we'll play Sutta Roulette for like 15 minutes or so, and then we'll call it. Let me share screen. All right. Let's do Anguttara Nikaya, since I always incline towards. What was the word roulette again, Karuna? I think I vaguely remember this and saying that we should do this because I liked it, but I totally forgot. Oh, that's right. It was like choosing a Dhamma word and then doing it in the search or something like that. Trying to explain that again. I'm trying to remember. All right. Well, how about we do this? We alternate. We do one sutta and then one word. So, no, any word. Oh boy. Uh, if this was on a more public thing like my insight timer sessions, I would not allow just any word. But since I trust the small group that attends Dhammapalooza, I think that any word is fine. Oh boy. All right. A number between 1 and 11. In 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Rick comes in with 11. A number between 1 and 40. In 3, 2, 1, go. We are on the Book of 11s. 11-6. Julie comes in with a 6. All right. So, for those of you who, pretty much everyone here, I think, already knows this, but I'll just do this anyway. You never know who might watch it after. So we want to go to Anguttara Nikaya 11.6. So we're on Sutta Central, Book of the Discourses, Book of the Numbered Discourses, that's Anguttara. Top one is always the one that we want to go for, the Pali, unless you can, read Sanskrit or Chinese or other things, the Agamas. But the top one is always going to be the Nikayas, the Pali. So you click on that. And so now Anguttara Nikaya has 11 books. 11, and what was the number? 6. So first 50. And now this is, we're looking for, 11 Anguttara Nikaya, 11.1 to 10. So we want to go for 6. Ooh, this looks like a good chapter. I quite like this chapter. All right. Disasters. Wait a second. Why is it? Am I? Oh, no wonder. There we go. It went to a different tab. Here we go. Disasters. Mendicants. Any mendicant who abuses and insults their spiritual companions, speaking ill of the noble ones, will, without doubt, fall into one of these 11 disasters. What 11? They don't achieve the unachieved. What they have achieved falls away. Uh-oh, backsliders. They don't refine their good qualities. They overestimate their good qualities. They lead the spiritual life dissatisfied. Or they commit a corrupt offense. Or they resign the training and return to the lesser life. Or they contract a severe illness. Or they go mad and lose their mind. Or they feel lost when they die. And when their body breaks up after death, they're reborn in a place of loss, a bad place, the underworld, hell. Any mendicant who abuses and insults their spiritual companions, speaking ill of the noble ones, will without a doubt fall into one of these 11 disasters. Any mendicant who does not abuse and insult their spiritual companions, speaking ill of the noble ones, will without doubt not fall into one or the other of these 11 disasters. What 11? They don't achieve the unachieved. What they have achieved falls away. They don't refine their good qualities. They overestimate their good qualities, or they lead the spiritual life dissatisfied, or they commit one of the corrupt offenses, or they resign the training and return to a lesser life, or they contract severe illness, or they go mad and lose their mind. They feel lost when they die. And when their body breaks up after death, they're reborn in a place of loss, a bad place, the underworld, hell. Any mendicant who does not abuse and insult their spiritual companions, speaking ill of the noble ones, will, without a doubt, not fall into one or other of these 11 disasters. This Gregory says this seems to indicate that mental illness is the result of bad karma. Is that right? Mental illness, I think, can definitely be a result of bad karma, and the reason being is because mental illness, in many mental illness, not all, but a lot of them kind of are latent in a person as they're born, right? Because the Buddha makes it quite clear that the conditions under which you're born is 100% due to your karma. After that, it's a mix. Doesn't Not everything that happens to you is solely or only due to karma. So in different aspects, yes, mental illness can be related to karma for sure. All right. How do I guess I just do that. There we go. All right. So Ryan asks, past lives or this life? So mental illness or mental health is a broad term, right? somebody who ends up being schizophrenic, bipolar. These are very specific genetic or something, basically something that you're kind of born with. Now, some people can be born with it and it never manifests, right? There's other factors that can kind of trigger it or lead to its manifestation, which is usually happens later in life. So I would probably incline those being more towards karma of birth. Now there's like PTSD, trauma, anxiety, non-clinical depression. There's a variety of all those other factors that could have a factor of karma in it from this life, but it also could have a wide variety of environmental and biological and neurological. There could be a whole variety of different factors as to why some level or some kind of mental health would arise. So now, because of Karuna's suggestion, we're going to enter the realm of interesting chaos. And since this is when we're not trying to do a specific sutta, we can take multiple words. In 3, 2, 1, type of word you want me to search in the suttas. Type what? One word. 3, 2, 1. Type. Elephant. Whistle. Oh, that's an interesting one. I'm interested to see what's going to come up with those. Thrust. That's another interesting one. I say interesting because I don't know what could come up with those. Elephant and dog. I can probably think of at least 10 to 15 suttas. I pretty much expect what's going to come up. But thrust and unless you were saying thirst, Ryan, I usually thrust and whistle. That's going to be interesting. So let's type in elephant. Let's see. The royal elephant. A mendicant is like a king's elephant. Let's see. This is Anguttara Nikaya. This is a small one. We can read this. Oh, no. Okay. I remember not to go to another tab here. Mendicants, a royal bull elephant with 4 factors is worthy of a king, fit to serve a king, and is considered a factor of kingship. What 4? A royal bull elephant listens, destroys, endures, and goes fast. And how does a royal bull elephant listen? It's when a royal bull elephant pays attention, applies the mind, concentrates wholeheartedly, and actively listens to whatever task the elephant trainer has it do, whether or not it has done it before. That's how a royal bull elephant listens. And how does a royal bull elephant destroy? It's when a royal bull elephant in battle destroys elephants with their riders and horses, with their riders and chariots and charioteers and foot soldiers. That's how a royal bull elephant destroys. And how does a royal bull elephant endure? It's when a royal bull elephant is in battle, endures being struck by spears, swords, arrows, and axes. It endures the thunder of the drums, kettle drums, horns, and cymbals. That is how a royal bull elephant endures. And how does a royal bull elephant go fast? It's when a royal bull elephant swiftly goes in whatever direction the trainer sends it, whether or not it has been there before. That is how a royal bull elephant goes fast. A royal bull elephant with these factors is worthy of a king. In the same way, a mendicant with 4 qualities is worthy of offering dedicated to the gods, is worthy of hospitality, etc., etc. That's the qualities of the sangha. What for? A mendicant listens, destroys, endures, and goes fast. How does a mendicant listen? It's when a mendicant pays attention, applies the mind, concentrates wholeheartedly, and actively listens when the teachings and trainings proclaimed by the realized one is being taught. How does a mendicant destroy? It's when a mendicant doesn't tolerate sensual, malicious, or cruel thoughts. They don't tolerate any bad, unskillful qualities that have arisen, but give them up, get rid of them, eliminate them, and obliterate them. That is how a mendicant destroys. And how does a mendicant endure? It's when a mendicant endures cold, heat, hunger, and thirst, the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and reptiles, rude and unwelcome criticism, and they put up with physical pain, sharp, severe, acute, unpleasant, disagreeable, and life-threatening. That's how a mendicant endures. And how does a mendicant go fast? It's when a mendicant swiftly goes in the direction they've never gone before in all this long time, i.e., long time in samsara. The stilling of activities, the letting go of all attachments, the ending of craving, fading away, cessation, and extinguishment. That's how a mendicant goes fast. All right. Now, dog. Maybe we'll get a dog duty ascetic. Maybe we'll get the dog with mange. We'll see. Ancient traditions among the Brahmins that are only seen among dogs. Oh boy. Oh, this. Ooh, Buddha's going hard against the Brahmins, I guess. Let me see. Mendicants, these 5 ancient traditions of the Brahmins are exhibited these days among dogs, but not among Brahmins. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's going hard among the Brahmins. What 5? In the past, Brahmins had sex only with Brahmin women, not with others. These days, Brahmins have sex with both Brahmin women and others. But these days, dogs only have sex with female dogs, not with other species. This is the first ancient tradition of the Brahmins exhibited in these days among dogs, but not among other Brahmins. Among Brahmins. In the past, Brahmins had sex only with Brahmin women. This is not how I thought it was going to go. This is this is interesting, though. I don't remember this sutta. This is the wonders of random words and numbers. In the past, Brahmins had sex only with Brahmin women in the fertile phase of the menstrual cycle, not at other times. These days, Brahmins have sex with Brahmin women both in the fertile phase of the menstrual cycle and other times. But these days, dogs only have sex with female dogs when they are in heat, not in other times. This is the second ancient tradition of the Brahmins exhibited in these days among the dogs, not among Brahmins. In the past, Brahmins neither bought nor sold Brahmin women. They lived together because they loved each other and wanted their family line to continue. These days, Brahmins both buy and sell Brahmin women. They live together whether they love each other or not, and they want their family line to continue. But these days, dogs neither buy nor sell female dogs. They live together because they're attracted to each other. They want their family line to continue. This is the third ancient tradition of the Brahmins exhibited these days among dogs, but not among Brahmins. Basically, what the Buddha is saying here is that the ancient Brahmins were much more virtuous. And this is in line with many other suttas where the Buddha does this. I've just never seen, I just don't remember this one. This is an interesting sutta. In the past, Brahmins did not store up money, grain, silver, or gold. These days, Brahmins do store up money, grain, silver, and gold. But these days, dogs don't store up money, grain, silver, or gold. This is the fourth ancient tradition of the Brahmins exhibited these days among dogs, but not among the Brahmins. In the past, Brahmins went looking for alms food for dinner in the evening or for breakfast in the morning. These days, Brahmins eat as much as they like until their bellies are full, then take away the leftovers. But these days, dogs go looking for dinner in the evening and for breakfast in the morning. This is the fifth ancient tradition of the Brahmins exhibited these days among dogs, but not among the Brahmins. These five ancient traditions of the Brahmins are exhibited among these. Ooh, that was an interesting. Okay. And what did I say about? Yeah, I think I pretty much know how the dogs are going to go. Wow. That's an interesting one. I was not expecting that in the slightest. That's a real interesting sutta. All right. Whistle. Well, Karuna, I think whistle is quite rare. Looks like one in the Sutta Nipata and one in the. Is that in the? Yes, it is the Vinaya. All right. Let's look at the Vinaya, shall we? The followers of Panduka. Where are we at here? The Chulavagga. All right. Okay. This is talking about the monks not doing various games and entertainments. They played on checkerboards for gambling. They played on drought board. They played with imagining such boards in the air. They played a game of stepping onto diagrams. So they played Twister. They played checkers. And some of these are very interestingly close to what, even us more modern, older people know games like this. They played with spilinkans, at dice, tip cap, brush hand with a ball, at blowing through toy pipes made of leaves, with toy plow, at turning somersaults with a toy windmill, with a toy censer, a toy measure of leaves, with a toy cart, with a toy bow. They played a game of guessing letters, a mind reading game, a game of mimicking deformities. They trained themselves in elephant lore, horse lore, carriage lore, archery, swordsmanship. Then they ran in front of an elephant, a horse, a chariot. Now they ran backwards. Now they ran forwards, and they whistled, and they snapped their fingers, and they wrestled, and they fought with fists. And having spread out their upper robes as a stage, oh boy, they said to a dancing girl, "Dance here, sister." Do you imagine monks putting their robes on the ground and saying to some, dancing woman, "Hey, dance here, dance on the robes." And they applauded and they indulged in various bad habits. Yeah. No, it looks like it's the same thing. So that's for whistling. Must be the group of 6 monks. I don't know. This is the followers of Panduka. Look at this. Now at the time, monks who were followers of Panduka and Lohitaka, who were themselves makers of strife, makers of quarrels, makers of disputes, makers of contention, makers of legal questions of the order. having approached the monks. So no, this is not the group of 6. This is monks who are specific followers of these 2 people, who I assume are also monks. All right. So thrust, or no, I guess Ryan was also saying thirst, because that's the R. I am interested to say thrust, though. Let me see. Oh, not dog thrust. Like, all right. There we go. Buddha, whose anger has disappeared, who has an unclouded mind, who's free from lustfulness, whose sloth is thrust aside. With my chest all thrust aside. Let's see. Ah, from hell, iron lances being thrust into his body. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm running out of steam here. I don't want to go too much. What about thirst? Emotional barrenness. That's definitely a Bhante Sujato translation. The Legend of the Thirsty Ghost. How about we end on that? This looks interesting. Let's see. Oh, it's only in Pali. I don't even know where that's from. That's definitely not the suttas. Let me see. Let me see if there's. Yeah. Okay. So it's just in Sanskrit. Never mind. What are the 5 emotional shackles they haven't cut off? Firstly, a mendicant isn't freed from greed, desire, fondness, thirst, passion, and craving for sensual pleasures. That's the same thing. Put it into Chat GPT. I don't even know how to do that. I'm not going to bother now. But it's funny. We've actually had Chat GPT chime in our Suttas Mondays, because Patcha has asked Chat GPT questions while we were reading and discussing suttas. And I actually called out Chat GPT, because I was trying to think of. I was like, I know this is said somewhere. And Pacha typed in the Chat GPT, and Chat GPT is like, no, it's not said anywhere. And I'm like, I remember exactly where it's said. And then Pacha says, oh, but what about such? And Chat GPT is, oh, yes, also in this. So I beat out Chat GPT. All right. The AI hasn't taken us over yet. All right, friends. I think I'm going to call it. Suki Hotu, may you be happy and at ease. Practice well and be well. May you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice until we meet again. Good week.